Hello, friends, and welcome back to Museum Monday. This one's going to be a talkie episode. So what do you do when you've been promising your mom for years that you would take her to the National Museum of African American History, and you hear that the current administration is trying to put their grubby little hands on one of the most iconic artifacts in Black American civil rights history? To the museum. I was back home in the Burgh, which is only a 4.5-hour drive to DC, so the Retiress and I made an overnight trip of it. After driving down and spending the night on Monday, we spent the next day touring the entire museum for about 5 hours. It is chock full of so much history, and we hit it all from tip to tail. Of course, we made sure to get photos and footage of the archives from the Greensboro lunch counter, which was reportedly scheduled to be removed from the museum, but apparently this was either not an accurate report or the decision was walked back. While the original lunch counter is on display at the National Museum of American History, the African American History Museum houses stools from the counter, as well as an interactive counter replica. This, of course, is an homage to the most well-known instance of sit-in protests, where the Greensboro four male students studying at North Carolina A&T, sat at the Woolworth lunch counter in defiance of racial segregation policies. Their daily protests grew to thousands of students and sparked similar sit-ins across the South. After 5 months of protests and about $200,000 in losses, which would be $2.1 million in 2024, the Woolworth counter in Greensboro served its first Black patrons in July 1960. After our visit to the lunch counter, we visited the replica of segregated trains, the heartbreakingly poignant Emmett Till Memorial Exhibit, the final History Hall, detailing modern American Black history and achievements, and the stunning and necessary Contemplative Hall. But wait, there's more! We lucked out by visiting on a Tuesday, as Tuesdays and Thursdays are when the museum offers genealogy research sessions in the Robert Frederick Smith Explore Your Family History Center. This was such a great experience. My mom has been wanting to learn more about her grandmother, and we were able to find out the year and town she was born, and even when she moved from Mississippi to West Virginia, where she settled with her only child, my grandmother, and also where my mother was born and raised. This resource was such a blessing, and I wholeheartedly recommend if you're exploring your family history. Friends, I don't have to stress the importance of this museum, especially as the current administration is trying so hard to erase our history. What I will say is that while it is important to learn and understand just how dark and cruel the transatlantic slave trade and chattel slavery were, the experience of African people in colonial America was not a monolith. Many of our ancestors earned their freedom before the Emancipation Proclamation, while many more were never enslaved. In addition to Nat Turner's rebellion, Harriet Tubman's rescue missions, and Martin Luther King's March on Selma, there were so many more daily acts of resistance, large and small, that were just as crucial to establishing our new rights. The Zimbabwean adage says, "The axe forgets, but the tree remembers." No doubt, in our current times, knowing our full history will serve us well to remember our legacy of strength and survival. We need to keep our history and legacy alive and support the museums, programs, and organizations dedicated to that goal. Comment below with some spaces and places for us to visit and support. Thank you for joining the Retiress and me on another adventure. We've got more coming your way, starting with our time in Mexico City. Stay tuned.